So you are forming part of the James Mason story.
I
Right?
am,
Yes,
yes,
you are.
I am a part of his story.
Sharon, I'm very happy that we're finding this short moment within this crazy environment
Yes, it is.
of a Christmas party in Santa Cruz,
In Santa Cruz.
where we have the possibility, with the background music of James Brown, to talk about your part, your function in James Mason's life.
Mm-hmm.
Which year did you meet him?
I believe it was around 1999, 2000. I was in college and working part-time, and we lived in the same community a little, called Nature's Paradise in Felton. It's in the mountains in Santa Cruz. I lived in the big house with 5 women, and he had a little bungalow. And so we got to know him after a time. We got to be comfortable with everybody, and I would wave and he'd wave, and he knew all the girls.
He knew all the girls. What does that mean? Was he a Casanova?
No, not that I know of. I think he did date one of them. And he shut the door, so we'll have a little bit more quiet. Hi. He's listening. Anyway, so we got to be friends with everybody. He was very respectful to all the girls, and I would invite him up because I was kind of had a crush on him, and I thought he was really nice. I'd heard great things about him and what he did in the community. He would never come into my room upstairs.
He wouldn't?
No.
Old school man.
Yeah, old school. And on our first date, he took me to the church, the Baptist church, and we listened to the young people sing gospel music, practicing in the choir. And then he disappeared. He came back with bags of food that they were cooking on Sundays. The parents and the people cooked food.
And that was a Baptist church.
It was a Baptist church, so this was his greens and chicken and things like that.
And in the Baptist church, you need to have a lot of time to sit there on the benches and wait until they're done.
Yeah.
Did you wait the entire
I did.
service through?
Yeah,
You did?
yeah.
Did
I
you
did.
dance and sing? and
No,
go
I
crazy?
didn't.
No?
No, it was all new to me, being Catholic, brought up Catholic.
How did they welcome you?
And they with open arms.
You were the only white person?
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I found that to be anywhere I would go with James. We would go to, in the South, we would go to clubs, juke joints, and I would be the only Caucasian, and never felt uncomfortable at all. Never did.
Now, I know there is a little misunderstanding what led to the first date. And we were talking about being explicit.
Yes.
So what's the story behind
Well,
that?
I guess I wasn't explicit enough because I had mentioned to him, I knew his email address, so I emailed him saying, I met a friend of yours, and it would be fun to get together and have dinner. And so he replied, I would love to have dinner with you.
But not with a friend.
And then mentioned the friend, and I got a little nervous, and then I said, okay, but it worked fine. That's when he took me to the church, and we went to the Santa Cruz, UCSC, the university, to the radio station, and then he brought this food, he brought it home, and we sat outside of the big house on the porch, and had all the other girls come down, and we all had dinner together.
That's nice.
Yeah.
You still have contact with the other girls?
Not so much since we moved over to Sunnyvale. A couple of them I do, but not so much anymore. It's changed a lot up there.
Now, I know that you are together now 16 years.
16 years.
One word of description for 16 years. Just one. What's the first word that pops up in your
Challenging.
mind? Challenging. But in a good way.
In a good way, positive way. I've learned so much with this man. He's introduced me to a whole different world. I never traveled much, born and raised in California, San Francisco. and he would took me across country. I've been to the East Coast, to Chicago, Texas, all over.
Did you go overseas with him?
No, we
not
haven't
yet.
left the country yet, but we're planning to. We're planning
So
to.
what's the dream country you want to go to?
I would love to visit Europe, Switzerland, where my children live for a while, and Italy and Spain. Those are my friends talk about those places being beautiful. And when my son went to Mallorca, the pictures beautiful, the ocean beautiful. So I'd like that experience.
If I would ask you, what was the funniest situation or experience you had with James in 16 years?
The funniest, that is hard because I think the funniest was when he took me on the train from Chicago back. I wanted to ride the full train at night and sleep on it. I thought it would be wonderful. The beds are very small, and James is he's 6'3".
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'll sleep on the top bunk. And so here I am crawling up this ladder, and there wasn't a space up there to sit up. So, and I'd look down and he'd be just sound asleep, spread eagle on the bed, and I'd be up there with this tiny little, with a roof 2 inches from my head. And I laugh about that. It was pretty funny.
So this is the train from Chicago to San Francisco?
Yes, to Oakland, actually. Yeah.
And what time of the year did you take it?
We did this in August, late August.
That's a nice time to do it.
Yeah.
And of course, if I would ask what's the funniest situation, I need to ask what's the saddest, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you what's the most impressive situation.
The most impressive situation in my 16 years, there's many.
The first one that comes up. It might not be the most impressive one, but that's the one that comes up. Being close to his family, his sisters. All black people.
And I was impressed with how they just took me in and just really liked me. No rejection, nothing. Just warm people. And the last, I really felt honored when his last sister passed. And we were in Texas and we were at the church at the ceremony. And they included me in everything. I sat with the family. And that impressed me a lot.
And the first wives of James were at that funeral?
No, I was the only.
You were the only one.
I was the only one.
And you were telling me about a particular situation about you and the wives, that he wanted you to meet the wives, which in this case he would say the mothers of his children.
That was important to him.
And for you?
And for me, I was kind of surprised, and I didn't have a problem with it because we weren't that serious the first couple times. And they were wonderful women that I met, that he had relationships with.
Right.
And I've met them all.
And you've met all the children, obviously.
And I met all the children, yes.
And as I understood and as I've seen on the pictures, there are 2 or 3 interracial marriages with Caucasian women.
Yes.
Now, this is a time which is way ahead because he was born in 1932.
Yes,
So he must have gone through hard times with interracial marriages, I suppose. Did you have any resentments walking on the street together or being looked at weirdly?
In the South, we went to a...
But we're talking about in the South, beginning of the 2000s. They still look at you weirdly in that time.
Yes. We walked into a Waffle House in Mississippi, and you could hear a pin drop when we walked in the door. And I got really nervous, and I said, James, come on, let's go. We can go find another. And he said no. So we walked in, sat down, and he walked over to the jukebox, put some music in, and then he started talking to everybody, talking to the waitress and pretty soon it was like he was a good old boy.
Right.
But that made me nervous. Yeah, I was
But what did you
uncomfortable.
expect? What would happen? Did you feel
I,
fear?
I did. I was fearful. I was fearful.
But what would happen?
I don't know if something would have happened to him or we were kicked out. I don't know, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, I mean, this is like 15 years ago. He must have been in his 75, 76.
Yeah.
Would people attack an old man like that?
I don't know. That's what I didn't know. These were white people.
What makes you mad?
What makes me mad are people that ignore me and don't degrade me by not paying attention to me. I can't.
And not taking you seriously?
And not taking me seriously. Yeah.
Did that happen to you when you were a little girl?
I don't remember. I actually don't remember. But my parents were divorced at a young age, and my dad was in the Navy when I was born. So I don't remember a lot. Maybe I blocked it out.
And what does it do? I mean, what feelings does it cause?
It makes me want to run away. It makes me want to not run physically, but away in my head.
Oh, and you'd have to cry?
I would cry.
I cry when this happens.
Yeah, I would cry.